Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. So today we are going to study a poem by Robert Frost. The name of the poem is Dust of Snow. And in this video, we're going to cover not just the summary of the poem, we are also going to study the theme, the message, the mood, the tone of the poet, the poetic devices, and how you need to attempt any question that comes from this poem in your exams. So there will be special tips for you all. Alright, so let's begin. Now in this poem, when we start with the summary, the first thing that we notice is the title, Dust of Snow. The dust of snow is metaphorically used by Robert Frost in order to compare things and tell us about the weather conditions, the setting. Okay, dust of snow is referred to the fine particles of snow. And when we refer to fine particles of snow, we are referring to the winter season, the cold winter season, winter time when it is snowing and when the trees are bare naked and only have the snow which is accumulated on its branches. Okay, so when we refer to dust of snow, it is referring to the fine particles, it is referring to the season which is winter season, and we are also getting a hint of what kind of scenery the poet is trying to portray in front of us. Okay, so let's start. When we talk about this poem, when we begin this poem, here the poet is talking about the way the crow shook down on me, the dust of snow from the hemlock tree. So here two elements have been used. One is the crow and one is the hemlock tree. When we refer to crow and hemlock tree, both are considered to be symbolic of something bad, a bad omen. In a lot of nature poetries, you never commonly find crow being used as a bird. We find nightingales, we find sparrows, we find kingfishers, we find various other birds. We find trees like maple trees, okay, or maybe some fruit trees, never a hemlock tree. Robert Frost has primarily used these two elements in order to tell us about something bad which was happening, which was prevailing in the environment, which was prevailing in the atmosphere around him. Okay, so here when we refer to crow and hemlock tree, crow is considered to be is symbolic of bad omen. Okay, and hemlock tree is a poisonous tree. So the poet has used these two elements, and the poet says that because the crow shook its feathers when it was sitting on the bark of the tree and the poet was sitting under the tree, a little dust of snow or fine particles of snow fell on the poet. Now this is a little moment that may go unnoticed, but Robert Frost has brought beauty into it. Okay, and the beauty has been brought by saying that crow which shook the little dust of snow or the fine particles that just fell on the bark or on the poet, it helped him in uplifting his mood. It saved the day, the part of the day that I had rued. He has specifically used the word rued. Rued means spoiled. So the part of the day which had already been in past, which had already happened, the poet was not in a good mood. He felt that his day is spoiled. But just this little moment of falling of the dust particle, or falling of the particle of snow, not the dust of snow, okay, that led to bringing positivity and hopefulness in him. That changed his mood, that changed his outlook. And this is what Robert Frost tries to tell us, that there may be a lot of things which would be happening around us, which may depress us, which may lead us to be in a bad mood, think negative. But we should always be hopeful and optimistic. We should always try to find positives in the negative situations. That hope is the only thing that can help us survive through the challenges. And this is what this poem may be just of 8 lines, okay, but it gives us a very deep meaning to life. And Robert Frost is known for this fact that he uses nature. Nature has a healing power. Nature has the power to uplift us. Nature has the power to bring out the best in us. It teaches us. It's a teacher. It's a guide. It's a mentor. And this is what Robert Frost specializes in. He tries to bring everything back to normal in our life by using nature as the element. He's a nature poet. Okay. So here, what we covered was the summary of the poem. Now coming back to the theme, what I was just saying, nature has the healing power. Healing power of nature is the theme, okay? We should be grateful. The feeling of gratefulness is the second theme that is reflected through this poem. Now coming to the message. So the message that is conveyed through this poem by the poet Robert Frost is that we should be positive. We should stay positive. We should have optimistic attitude towards life. We should be hopeful. Okay? So being positive, being optimistic, being hopeful is the message that is conveyed through this poem, Dust of Snow. Now, the setting of the poem. The setting of the poem is, during the day when the crow is sitting on the bark and on the bark of hemlock tree, and the poet is sitting under the tree. Okay. Coming to the mood of the poet. Now, the mood of the poet is very, it's changing in between. So when we refer to the first 4 lines of the poem, the mood of the poet was not a good mood. He was feeling depressed. He was sad. He was gloomy. But this little incident of snowflakes falling on him, of fine particles of snow falling on him, uplifted his mood. So he became optimistic. And so is the tone of the poet. It is light and cheerful throughout the poem, throughout those 8 lines of the poem. Okay. Now, referring to the poetic devices that we come across in this poem, okay, there is a lot of use of imagery. Imagery is used in the first 4 lines of the poem, wherein we start imagining how the crow would have moved, that would have led to the fine particles of snow falling on the poet. So that is imagery, that is triggering imagination in us. Okay. Then there is a use of inversion. Inversion means when the sentence is not grammatically correct, but the poet or the writer uses the jumbled form in order to create a rhyme scheme. And so has Robert Frost done the same in this. When he says, shook down on me the dust of snow. So it is grammatically incorrect, but the poet has used it just to create that rhyme scheme. The poet has also used symbolism here. Symbolism means when something which is used in the poem is symbolic of, or exhibits something bigger, okay, something which signifies something in life. Okay, so here crow and hemlock tree are symbols of bad omen, whereas dust of snow, which is also a metaphor used in the poem, dust of snow is also referred to something which brings hopefulness in us. So when we refer to symbolism being used, yes, crow, hemlock tree and dust of snow, these three elements which are used in this poem are symbolic of something which is bad as well as good in our life. Okay? And the poet has used alliteration here. Alliteration means when the same consonant sound has been repeated in a line. Also, there is a use of synecdoche. Synecdoche when the poet is talking about something bigger in life with the help of something small. Okay, so here we are referring to crow and hemlock tree, which are considered to be objects of bad omen. However, here the poet has is referring to crow to something which is the bringer of happiness in his life, okay, or in that moment we can say. Also he has used enjambment. Enjambment is when one idea rolls on to the second line without any caesura or pause, and that pause can only be with the help of a punctuation mark. So there is an absence of punctuation mark in the lines to continue to talk about the continuity of the thought that the poet has. And last but not the least, poet has also used assonance. Assonance means when the same vowel sound in the word has been repeated. Okay, shook down on me. So has been O has been repeated. The vowel O sound has been repeated. Maybe a long O sound, O sound has been repeated there. Okay, so that is the use of assonance here in order to create the rhyming, in order to emphasize and syllabify the poem, the words. Okay, so this is about the poetic devices which have been used in this poem. Now we come to the last part of this poem, which is how can you answer your questions in the exams, during your exams, which come from this poem. Now, the analysis that we have done so far of this poem, you get direct questions from the analysis. It may be in the form of MCQs, it may be in the form of true and false, it may be in the form of maybe just writing down after finding the poetic device, or maybe writing the theme or the message. So there can be direct questions based on these. Now when we refer to direct questions, we need to analyze this poem extensively in order to ensure that we are giving our best as a way of presenting our answer. Okay, so when we refer to presentation, please underline the key words that you write in order to express your answer. Okay, so the words like optimistic, hopeful, cheerful, light, healing power, okay, gratefulness, all right, crow, hemlock tree, bad omen. Okay, these are some of the keywords that you need to underline in your answer so that the examiner would know exactly what you want to convey. And when you underline the words, when you write with a pencil, it becomes a very good presentation of your answer, that you know how to mark the things which are really asked and which are really important in order to present your answer. So it's very, very important to ensure that you underline the keywords in your answer, especially for this short poem, yet which holds a lot of meaning. I hope I was able to answer your questions. In case you have any other doubt, you can very well write it in the comment box, and I would be happy to answer those questions for you.